Hi guys, and thanks again for joining us. Yeah, so right now we're gonna go more into the specific questions he had for me last night because I feel they were really interesting and they could offer a lot of value to you guys. Again, I appreciate you following this stuff, and if it does give you value, please contact us and tell us that. Positive as well as negative feedback is really interesting towards us. That helps us grow. That helps us as well to know whether we're on the good way or on the bad way. So yeah, Chris, just tell me like a couple of questions you had for me.
Okay, one of the questions which I have to you is when you go to somebody to sell him something.
Yeah.
How you convince him that your stuff is the best stuff and he needs
Awesome.
that stuff?
That's a great question, actually. Yeah, I get this question a lot because people, you get people that are really passionate about their product, but they're not passionate about selling it. They don't know how to sell it. Well, it's actually really easy, divided into 3 steps. Again, divided into 3 steps from the other side, from the psychological side, and from the more specific technical side. So, first of all, you need to convince people that you as a person are sharp. This is, yeah, especially what I learned from the Jordan Belfort straight line system. You need to be sharp, you need to be enthusiastic, and you need to be an authority figure on the product you're talking about. So what does that mean? A person that isn't sharp, he won't know stuff about his product. You need to know stuff, like you need to know not everything. You don't need to know like the technical side and how it actually works, because you're not an engineer, you're a salesperson. But you do need to know enough to sell it. So that's being sharp. You need to be an authority figure on it. If you have any doubts about your product, like people will sense that. And you need to be enthusiastic. When I talk about you in a really monotonous like way, like people won't be interested. You need to have some highs and lows. You need to show that you're like interesting as a person and you want to sell stuff. Like people are attracted to other people that are enthusiastic as hell, because who doesn't love to like go out with people like that? Then from the other side, once you show that you as a person, you're sharp, you're an authority figure, and you're enthusiastic as hell, well, people start to trust you more. But that's only one of the 3 steps that you need to cover. Because in order to people buying your product, they need to be able to trust you as a person, they need to be able to trust your company, and they need to be able to trust your product. So by covering these 3 steps, we just covered one of the 3. If you leave any of the 3 out, that's it, like you won't sell your product. Because if you trust a person, but you don't like the product, for instance, it's like I gave that example, it's like a rotten banana. Like, you trust me, do you want to buy a rotten banana for 100 euros from me? Probably not. So if you don't like the product, then you're not going to buy it. So he needs to be able to trust your product, he needs to be able to trust you. So the product needs to be good. So if you're a salesperson that is selling products that are not good, that you don't believe in, like, get another job. Believe me, you'll be more successful in that other job. They need to be able to trust your company, because they trust you, they trust your product. But what if the company is really shady? They're into like bad business. They've been in the news about like counterfeiting stuff and like fraud. Do you want to go into business with a company like that? Probably not. And so you need to be able to convince them that your company is good, your product is good, and you as a person are trustworthy. If you're able to do all of that, most of the time you'll get the sale. But then you'll stumble up to the last step, and that's limiting beliefs. Some people have limiting beliefs about buying stuff. Maybe they have bad experiences with salespeople. Maybe something happened when they were small. We don't know. But once you've done all of these 3, they trust you, they trust the product, they trust the company, and they trust you because you're an authority figure, you're sharp, and you're enthusiastic. So once they covered all of that, yeah, those limiting beliefs can stop that. And the way you cover those limiting beliefs, that's actually a whole speech on its own. You can Google that as well, but we're probably going to put out a video on that. But this is how you actually start selling. This is how you start the process of selling. You cover those three aspects, and then you just go into the limiting beliefs. And once you've covered that, you just close and you'll have your sale.
Nice. Okay. Do you believe that the good body language reader can help to the seller?
Okay, this is a really cool question actually. Yes, I've been in body language. The reason I'm a coach actually is I started off with doing the body language stuff, and it's been like 5 years now since I'm in the whole body language industry. I've trained really hard to recognize the micro expressions as well. Again, it's a really specific science, and you always need to read in context. Most of the time you're not right, but if you're really good at it, 80% of the time you'll get good predictions. So why is body language important to sales? I wouldn't advise it to beginners. The reason why, it's because there is so much and it's so overwhelming. And if you don't read it in context, you can misinterpret it and it can steer you the wrong way. So I would definitely advise body language to more advanced people, because if you're into sales and you've gotten to a point where you can't grow anymore, I was at this point as well. I didn't grow anymore. I had the same level of sales all the time. And that's when I started implementing my body language skills into the whole sales process. And what happened was I didn't wait for the no anymore. I started predicting when the people started getting closed off. So for really advanced salespeople, this is a really cool trick. I already talked about the body language aspect in the last video. But yeah, by recognizing certain patterns and by recognizing the behavior of people in their body language, you can start predicting the no or the yes before they actually phrase it. And that way you know where you have to push it towards. So if you have to take a different approach or if you have to push towards the same course because you're doing well, this is how body language can actually help you in your sales level. But I would not advise it to beginners because it's so complex and it's really easy to misinterpret it. Because in the beginning I used to misinterpret a lot of stuff. It's just with experience that you start seeing the patterns, because body language is a lot about seeing the patterns and predicting based on that. That's why it's like 70 to 80% level of accuracy.
Okay, does that mean that all clients for you are the same, or all client is unique?
Well, I kind of talked about that with the limiting belief stuff. It's we're all human beings, so we have similarities. So body language stuff.
We are from the same club.
Yeah, exactly. So body language wise, we might be exactly the same. Like you can't fake micro expressions. I haven't met anyone yet that can do that. Except, well, if you really know body language, like you can start faking it. I wouldn't advise to do that because people will see that you're not congruent with what you're doing. So in that sense, we are human beings. We can predict stuff. But in another sense, every human being is unique, because I've never had a sale that went exactly the same as another sale. And the reason behind that is because every person has different limiting beliefs. And so I have to I have to convince them on a logical aspect that their limiting beliefs are actually not real, that they come from a bad experience. And in that sense, every sale is unique because every person has different limiting beliefs.
Yeah, there is no he's a man or woman, all the same.
Yeah, we're all human beings, whether you're a man or woman. Yeah, there are kind of different signs in body language, but micro expressions are mostly the same.
This is really nice. Okay, when you see the people get worries about did I must buy that, you calibrate some to the next step, to the final steps. You can calibrate.
Well, yeah. So I use it's called social calibration in social dynamics. It's where you look at how much you can push the sale and the interaction with the person. So, for instance, a person that would sell in front of a door and it wouldn't go his way and he would be still pushing, by the end of the interaction the people would say, could you just leave, you're annoying me. So this is not socially calibrated. by being, how do you get socially calibrated? Pure by experience. Like, again, it's with patterns and stuff. You start seeing whether you're pushing the interaction, whether you're good or not. So how do you get this skill? Just go do as much interactions as possible, and you'll start seeing the patterns a lot. So yeah, you need to be a bit socially calibrated in the sale. You need to know whether the person is going to say no or not, whether you're agitating him or whether he's actually getting more comfortable with you. And body language does help with that. And yeah, it's a whole package of being just a social human being and picking up on the signs.
Okay, is all these steps you told so far,
yeah,
is they become something like habit when you do it every time?
That's a great question, actually. Well, I talk about that as well with my clients. It's called the 4 steps of internalizing habits. First of all, when you start off, you don't know you're wrong, so you're, I guess, unconsciously incompetent. Then you go to the next step where you know you're wrong. You're still doing it wrong, but you know that it's wrong, so it's consciously incompetent. And then the next step is you start learning stuff, techniques, and you start implementing them. And it becomes, what's it called, consciously competent. And then after a while, when you do a lot of sales, when you interact with a lot of people, you start internalizing it. It becomes a natural habit, and you become unconsciously competent. So every time I start, this is how you get like natural talent, because I wasn't naturally talented. I started doing this, and by doing a lot of doors, by doing a lot of interactions, a lot of meetings, by the end of everything, it became internalized. And now, yeah, it becomes natural when I interact. I don't have to prepare sometimes. Sometimes I prefer to prepare, but sometimes I don't have to prepare. I just jump into the sale, and because everything is so internalized, I can just like click, like it goes like a click, and just, yeah, I just do the sale. So unconsciously competent, that's called. And how do you get there? Like, just practice a lot. There's a speech on a TED Talk about how you can get a skill in 20 hours. So it doesn't take you 10,000 hours to become good.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it takes 10,000 hours. The study goes, it was a study, I think it was in America, from a university, or a guy that wrote a book about it. To become the best at your niche, for instance, sport, professional athlete, become an Olympic athlete, stuff like that, you need to invest at least 10,000 hours to become the best at something. But to become just good, like good enough so that people think you're good at this skill, it only takes 20 hours. And yeah, like if you have any questions about that, you can definitely contact me. I'm happy to help with that. Do you have any more questions?
No, I think this is really cool stuff that we discuss, and in our next videos there will be more questions, and the people will ask questions in the forum, and we discuss them.
If you have like questions, definitely post them on the forum, email us, and like just contact us. We'll make a video about it if they're really interesting questions. The difference between us and like many other companies is that we're still growing. We're so interested into the whole process, so when you come with a question, like, we have the resources to find the answer to it, and we're gonna find it. It's interesting for us as well to, if we don't know it, so when we do find it, we'll make a video about it, and then yeah, maybe it'll be of value for you. And yeah, like Milen said, if you're one of the first 10 or something like that, then we have like bonuses and interesting stuff for you as well. And thanks for watching, and hopefully you got some value out of it.
See you again.